we're going to talk about the best bug out bags in 2023, tried and tested by the station you would expect and you would highly respect for doing bug out bags, CNN. I mean, if I was thinking, who do I want to test my bug out bag? It would definitely be a reporter at CNN. I must know a lot about this, Dave.
Yeah, they're probably solar powered.
Yeah, well, so brings us to the point here. So basically, and to introduce you to everybody, Dave Collum is a Cornell organic chemistry professor, Ivy League. Harder to fire than Claudine Gay. Not sure how he still has his job, but I think Dave's an interesting person to listen to about this particular topic because CNN is saying climate change is going to get so bad and already has gotten so bad. It's just a matter of time before we're going to have to live in the woods for, say, 4 days, 10 days, and figure out how to survive on our own. And so they tested these bug out bags for climate change, end times. And Dave, if I remember correctly, you said back in the day, you were just sort of accepted this narrative, but you started looking into it and you decided you don't believe the mainstream narrative anymore at all. So anyway, I want to ask you about that. But my first question for you is, what do you think about this article?
It's crap, right? it's one of two things. It's either highly orchestrated propaganda or some 20-something journalist who's so clueless that they're not smart enough to realize that they're writing garbage. So it's and I don't know which it is. I hang everything, add climate change and social justice on every article, and you'll get clicks.
That's kind of how it works in the TV business. If you find something that your viewers seem to really like, you just figure out the infinite number of ways to keep it going. So there's always comes up some kind of spin-off. Say we had like a lead story about a particular issue, we think it's going to be very popular, then every reporter after that is doing some kind of spin-off of it, right? Like, so there's, a cold front coming, they have the meteorologist up top to begin the show. Then we have Allison freezing her butt off at some park where all the homeless people are going to be. Then the next person's going to be like, how not to burn your house down while you're using your furnace for the first time in 8 months. And then the next person's going to be whatever. And then you just do the whole A block on this particular story. And I think that is just how it works. And in most cases, I think it is exactly what you described, which is just somebody who's like, oh, you know what? People like this. What's another angle we could do? Let's do bug out bags. And a lot of this stuff where, say you see the article that's all about how democracy is under attack, for instance, or the United States is under attack, governance is under attack. I find myself agreeing with the premise that our government needs a complete overhaul, but we never agree on the cause. And that's kind of the same thing here. It's like the interesting about this is like, I would say, yeah, I agree with you. You should have a go bag. You should be able to get through some time without power and be able to survive. But I totally disagree with the alarmism for why in this article. What do you think's up with that? The fact that often this information where it seems like we have similar senses about I don't know, there being a particular problem, but our ideas about what's causing it could not be more opposite.
Well, I can't name for you a narrative that I believe is being presented correctly. There's none that I can name one. You give me a keyword, I'll tell you what's wrong with that narrative. And so a benign interpretation would be that these guys know that having a bug out bag is a good idea, and they're just trying to figure out the best way to sell it to you. And so I have a prepper gene in me. So I prep for Y2K. People laugh at that and they go, that was just stupid. No, it wasn't. Y2K was a risk of unknown probability. And risk is not about what happened, it's about what could have happened. So I went through the intellectual gymnastics fairly extensively that said, okay, in the event that these guys are right and the computers are going to start glitching, what are the consequences? And it became clear that they were pretty serious. And so I prepped. And I was given advice that was really very good. Someone said, don't prep in a way that requires a disaster for you to be okay. There's people who sold their houses to buy rice and beans, right? That's just insane.
AllisonWinePromo.com. 50% off my favorite wines, 50% off shipping. These are from Argentina. They are extremist altitude wines. They come from extremely remote regions, and they are just very good. It's a great company. Great wine, great way to support my work, great way to be an extremist and not go to federal prison yet. I cannot promise you that in the future, this will not be something that you can go to federal prison for. But for now, you can go to AllisonWinePromo.com, support my work, and have a great wine. It's a great way to give a gift. Think about what grandma's going to say. You show up with this wine after unfriending her on Facebook. You listen to Dave. You thought she was crazy. You hear Dave. You're like, wow, he's a Cornell professor. He's saying the same thing my grandma was saying. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have pushed her out. I shouldn't have pushed her out of the dining room that one time when she tried to take my turkey and she told me she voted for Trump, or she doesn't believe in climate change, or whatever it was that she did that you didn't like. Give her the gift of an AllisonWinePromo.com, support my work, and get her back in your good graces. You can also go to greenpasture.org and get some vitamin D from my favorite fermented cod liver oil, butter oil blend. This is at greenpasture.org, and you can use the promo code Allison10, or just check out the affiliate links in the description, pinned comments. They have a bunch of different products that are really good for you, but this is the one that I take. I've been taking it for like 13 years. It's great for your teeth, great for your brain, high in omegas, high in vitamin D. It's not a supplement. It's a fermented food. So go check them out. And they're also very pro free speech. They were the ones who put me up in a hotel to go to the Wise Traditions conference and meet all kinds of amazing doctors. Finally, twinenginecoffee.com/Allison, USDA certified organic roast from Nicaragua, also extremist altitude. These are, like I said, USDA certified organic, and we have light roast, dark roast, espresso, and there's tea. If you're a tea drinker, you can get some tea. We've got little sample packs you can get there too if you just want to try out what you like the best. We've got cold brew. There's all the kinds of stuff. Leatherworks, local craftsman stuff. Great company. Again, another very free speech company as well. So twinenginecoffee.com/Allison. No promo code. Sorry, I should have taken the promo code off. Just go to that, twinenginecoffee.com/Allison, and that'll help me out. Finally, before we go any further, you can send me whatever you want in the mail that is not lethal and or just creepy. Send me some mail with like a lottery ticket, a picture of your family, I don't know, your loose change, whatever it is. I love to
Anthony Weiner is not allowed to
send any pictures of like nasty stuff. I don't want to see it. I got a bookmark. I've gotten cards here. Here's a picture. Is somebody's family from Christmas. See, here's a card I got. I think I already showed you. So I got some nice Christmas cards. I really appreciate everybody who sends me some mail. I have some people who send me checks there versus going to one of the platforms. If you like to do cash because you don't want to put your credit card online, that's also a great way to support my work too. So thanks again, everybody. P.O. Box 3355, Denellen, Florida, 34432.
So when COVID came along and the discussion of lockdown began, I went straight to the store and did the toilet paper, the rice, you name it. I think everyone who has space, it's inexcusable for them to not have, say, 100 pounds of rice. Now, it's not nutritional, but if you're sitting there gnawing your arm off after 3 weeks because you ran out of food and all you had to do is have some rice and you would have been okay, then that's insane not to have the rice. It's what, $40 worth? Well, with inflation now, it's probably much more, but and so I think you should have duct tape and WD-40 and rice and, some canned food that you give to the food bank if it's, a year or two old. It is inexcusable not to be ready so that you don't become the problem in the event of some sort of shutdown of some kind.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's talk climate change real fast. What is your story in a few minutes? I know it could be like a long book you could write about this, but tell us what you used to think about it. Would you have read that CNN article and been like, yeah, I'm on board with this, or not? What did you used to think, and what do you think now, and why?
I think the stories have gotten so absurd that even if I trusted the scientists, I would still view that stuff as garbage. But what happened to me was for years I would ask a biologist, do you see evidence of climate change? They'd say, oh yeah, and so I trusted the science, as they say, and then I got goaded into exploring it by two people. Said, how do you know it's true? And I said, everyone I know thinks it's true. I mean, what do you? How can you question this? And then I said to one of them, I said, there's, as far as I know, there's no credible scientists who don't buy this narrative. And he said, oh yeah, there are. And so I said, send me names, and he sent me 24 names, and I expected them to be non-credible. Some adjunct professor at Sheboygan State, which fine, except for the fact I'm not changing a global theory based on some guy at Sheboygan State, right? And they were not. They were not lightweights. And then, so I started digging into them with Google saying, yeah, they probably shot down a model, but that doesn't mean the story's not true. And when I Googled them, within probably a total of 3 or 4 hours, I discovered that there were famous scientists all over the world who said, this is a load of crap. Now, the problem is that becomes the very first very big lie that shoots down the narrative. And that is when you say there's no credible scientists and you got, Richard Lindzen, an MIT physicist, you got Steve Koonin, provost, Caltech physicist, you got Harvard physicists, you got Oxford physicists, you got MIT physicists. And in fact, what you can't
You're crackling again.
Keep talking.
Good. You're good. You sound good now. Keep going. Harvard physicists, physicists everywhere and anywhere. You're
How
good.
are we doing?
You're good. You sound good now.
Just say crackle and I'll just flip. And so that's the big lie. And then you start digging in and you find out that, that starving polar bear on the ice floe, you realize that he might just be 35 years old with stomach cancer. And you find out the polar bear population has tripled. And then you find out the Arctic sea ice is not shrinking. The Antarctic sea ice is not shrinking. You find out that these are normal looking oscillations. Here's what you can't find. You can't find a solar physicist who signs off on it. I asked a prominent climate change denier, I said, can you tell me a name of one solar physicist who believes the narrative? He said, no, I don't know any. And so what you discover is lie after lie after lie. And they're not small lies. They're big, bold lies, and they're rigging data. It's also really shabby science. Now, I think there's people doing good science, and they're just keeping their heads down, and they're trying not to get themselves in trouble while still pursuing an understanding of climate. And so I'm not trying to pick on those, but there's the compulsive liars who it's a grift, right? It's just a grift. It's like Black Lives Matter turned into a corporation, right? It's a grift.